it.
There we go.
Very good.
All right, let's open in prayer as we should in all things. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Jesus, thank you for tonight. Thank you for another Sunday. Thank you for a day that we can focus on you, come to worship you, and just all the graces that you give us today as we enter into Lent. Just a beautiful season, a very simple season, just focus on prayer, penance, fasting, almsgiving, simple and true. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for this opportunity to meet digitally, the powers and the beauty of technology. And tonight, let us focus on technology and how it is an area and a landscape worthy of attention and focus, both for our own good and safety, but also for our children, for our young generation. Please enlighten our minds. Please let these words be of you and not of me. And please let us all just be focused on just kind of the eternal mission of just leading people closer to you. In your name we pray. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. I think this is an awesome thing you guys have going here. I have created a little presentation that I'm just going to share, and it starts with a quiz. And I have an introduction in there, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and share screen. All right. Here we go. Social media do's and don'ts. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. We're going to start with a pop quiz. How much do you know about teens and social media? I think we got 6 questions on here. So don't get overwhelmed if you go 0 for 6. Don't get too full of yourself if you go 6 for 6. Just take it. Let's take it one at a time. All right. So number 1. What is the number 1 most used online platform by teens? Is it number 1, TikTok, number 2, Instagram, number 3, YouTube, or number 4, Snapchat?
You could yell it out.
Yeah.
TikTok and Snapchat.
Snapchat. Okay. Who thinks it's number 1, TikTok? All right. Who thinks number 2, Instagram? Who thinks number 3, YouTube? Who thinks it's number 4, Snapchat? Oh boy, we're in for a good night, ladies and gentlemen. It is number 3, YouTube. It is used by 95% of teens polled, and we're going off a Pew Research poll for the majority of the content tonight. But yeah, YouTube, 95% of teens. Yeah, that's crazy to me. Anyway, let's keep it going. Number 2, what app is banned from state government issued devices and networks here in the great state of Texas? I think TikTok, is that the consensus I'm hearing?
Yes.
You are correct. It is indeed TikTok. Just this month, Governor Greg Abbott banned TikTok on all government devices. And we'll probably get into the why of that in just a little bit. Number 3, on average, how many snaps are sent on Snapchat every 24 hours? Is it 100 million? Is it 500 million? Is it 1 billion or 5 billion? The fact that these are even the metrics we're going off of kind of still blow my mind. But who thinks it's number 1, 100 million? Okay. Number 2, 500 million. Okay. Number 3, 1 billion. Okay. And number 4, 5 billion. Who thinks it's 5 billion? I cannot believe this myself, but it is 5 billion snaps every 24 hours. One day, 5 billion Snapchats. And we're going to get into the absurdity of streaks and all this Snapchat shenanigans later, because it does not make any sense. But yeah, 5 billion snaps. Number 4, what percentage of U.S. teens think they spend too much time? This is an actual statistic. They actually poll teens. Do you think 10% think it? Raise your hand. 21%, 36%, and 46%. Okay, that's about what I expected to see kind of in the guesses. It is actually number 36%. So a little more than 1 in 3 teens think they in reflecting on their own social media usage, they honestly think that they spend too much time on social media. So there you go. So we got 2 more questions. This is one of my favorite ones. Who or what is yeet? Now, notice the spelling. It's not Y-E-E-T, is Y-E-A-T. Is he a potential 23-year-old California rapper with 2.1 million followers on Instagram? Is Yeet a caffeinated energy drink with ongoing litigation against it? Is Yeet an app for reselling clothes that made $6 million in profit last year? Or is Yeet a popular YouTube channel that posts highlights of dangerous activities? I don't really know why I included this question. I just was really interested to see if anyone actually could get this one correct. Raise your hand if you think Yeet is a California rapper. Okay. Raise your hand if you think it's a caffeinated energy drink that someone is suing for probably a good reason. All right. What about an app for reselling clothes? All right. And what about a popular YouTube channel? And what if all four? Raise your hand if you think all four of these things are just confusing and honestly, you really just don't even know where to even begin. Okay. Okay. That's what I was going with. So, just in case you were curious, and I doubt you were, Yeet is actually a rapper. So, 23-year-olds out in California. If you saw the latest Minions movie, the Minions Rise of Gru, he had that kind of viral song that made everyone kind of go out in fancy clothes. Yeah, maybe that's ringing a bell with some of you guys. So, Rich Minion by Yeet, you may be familiar with. Not worth Googling. Let's just put it that way. All right, and last but not least. When comparing a study from 2014 to one from 2022, what was the percentage increase in how many teens that said they were online almost constantly? So comparing to how many teens said they were in 2014 to now one from 2022, how much do you think it increased in that time frame? Do you think it went up 8%? Do you think it went up 13%? 19% or 22%? You don't have to raise your hand. You can kind of just think, just kind of internally, in that time span with everything that's been going on, what do you think the increase has been? And the answer for this one is, drum roll, 22%. So in 2014, 24% of teens polled said that they felt they were online almost constantly. And now 46% of teens. This is kind of a good segue into kind of what we're talking about and why I got asked by PJ to come talk. And that's because teens are very online. It's important to know that as parents, we know what apps they're using, where they're spending their time, kind of what the digital landscape that they're on kind of looks like. So that's kind of just if you went 0 for 6 on that, like I said, don't sweat it. I'm glad most of you don't know who Yeet is actually. About me. So my name is Jay Martin. I'm 29. I'm over in the Woodlands, Texas. So not too far from good old Bernie. I've been down to St. Peter's plenty of times. Love the ballroom. Great place. I am the marketing and media manager here at St. Anthony. So I started off kind of in a kind of creative services role. I've worked here for over 3 years. I do our social media, our live streaming, video content, podcast content, a little bit of everything here. I have 3 kids. I used to work for Life Team, as PJ said, briefly out in St. Louis on the web team. So I worked for their web services coordinator for a little bit. And then I went over to Georgia for I worked at Cove Crest with PJ and Lizzie Gormley, now Kelch. And yeah, I had a good time there with Life Team. That's how I met a lot of people from St. Peter's. I did a conference there once. That was fun. I'm really good at pickleball. I felt like I just had to include that just as a little splash of personal information. I could probably beat every single person in this room in pickleball. I have a little DJ side hustle. So that's kind of the best quick synopsis of me and kind of what I've been up to. So just go real quickly the goals of this presentation. I want to kind of talk about popular platforms, ongoing trends, and potential dangers of social media in a way that help you navigate the constantly shifting landscape of kids and phones. Because in my opinion, the safest parent is an informed parent. It's hard. It's hard to stay ahead of the curve. In a lot of ways, none of my kids have phones, so that's probably the biggest strike against me in terms of experience. But I think in terms of the stuff we're gonna be talking about tonight and just the general topic of young people and social media and phones, the best thing to do is just be informed. That's the best step one. So here's a quick overview, kind of what I'm gonna kind of go over. So we're already looking good. We're already at number 4, this slide. Ahead, we're gonna cover disclaimers, talk about some trends and demographics, go over just a few of the most popular apps and what you should know about them. I picked out just a few select kind of words you should know or kind of just phrases. Dive a little bit without getting too scary into some hidden dangers of social media. then pivot a little bit, talk about silver linings, give some recommended resources, and then open the floor for questions. I can see you guys. I have 2 monitors, so I can see you guys. So if anything comes up and you don't want to forget it or it's super pressing, just PJ yell at me or someone raise your hand, and I'm happy to stop. If I talk too fast, also do that too. I'm very prone to talking too fast. So I'm gonna do my best. But let's get into it. So 3 important disclaimers. Number 1, I am not an expert. I am certainly qualified to talk about social media because I have worked, on it in a professional setting. I'm on it all the time. I'm in this very unique generation where I think the people above me, are older than me, I guess. They're on it, but I guess they don't realize how, like, ironically, they don't think they're on it, but they actually are. And then the younger generation who are just on it all the time. So I feel like I'm kind of in a good niche to kind of help both generations to kind of sandwich against me, kind of learn about social media. So I'm just kind of knowledge and experienced. So that's why I'm kind of excited to be here, because I'm not an expert, but that kind of can be an advantage too. Number 2, this talk will be outdated in no time. And a lot of the studies I looked for in 2014 to 15, multiple apps mentioned and polled, they're not even around anymore. Rest in peace, Vine. Also, Google Plus was also on the chopping block. So I bet stuff we talk about tonight, the next time this maybe even is a conversation starter at St. Peter's, I bet some of these apps won't even be around. And so that's just a good kind of reminder of like how vigilant we need to stay in terms of like knowing the landscape, because by the time I'm done talking tonight, this probably will be outdated. And last but probably most importantly, I'm not going to try to tell you how to parent. I know this is called the do's and don'ts of social media. I think the general do of tonight is do know about this stuff and don't not know about this stuff. I'm not going to say your team should or shouldn't have this app or have this much screen time. There's no one size fits all answer. I can only give recommendations and suggestions, but only you know what's best for your family. I'm not going to try and, as a 29-year-old, try and tell you how to be a parent. So nothing I go over tonight is going to be kind of the one size fits all, black and white kind of thing. The best thing I can do is, like I said, make you an informed parent, and then you can figure out and decide how to best implement that for your family in your household. So, any questions before we really get going? Everyone feeling good? Awesome. Love it. So, right off the bat, let's jump into just some general social media trends. These are kind of just the 4 big heavy hitters. Number 1, the rise of TikTok. And if that sounds kind of like a bad like Star Wars movie, it's because it should be. 67% of teens are on the platform. And yeah, it's just going to keep going up. And on the vice versa, you see the fall of Facebook. Since 2015, down 39%. If you ask teens if they're on Facebook nowadays, they probably laugh in your face. It's very much it's still around. Obviously, Meta and that just conglomerate will always kind of be a social media megalith. But if you ask teens who's on it, it's not them. It's not that generation anymore. Daily doses. In terms of social media usage, TikTok and Snapchat are by far the most daily apps. 86% of teens who said they use TikTok and Snapchat say they use it daily, which is much higher than if you look at stuff like YouTube and Instagram. They're on YouTube the most around across the board, but in terms of daily usage, TikTok and Snapchat are the most like recurring apps, which I found very interesting. And last but not least, plenty of phones. There's been a 22% rise in teens who report having access to a smartphone. So like I said, this is going off of 2 main Pew Research studies, one from 2014 to 2015, and then one just recently released in 2022. And like I said, it's a really good window and time frame to kind of look at everything and see how much stuff has changed so drastically. And I'll show this next slide is kind of a graph. So you can even just kind of see, okay, like TikTok and YouTube weren't even kind of on the radar in 2014 and 2015. And look, they're sitting pretty. But if you look how steep that slide is from Facebook, man, I mean, 71%. Facebook was still cool. People were, they did pokes, and back in the day, it was still like an ongoing landscape. Now it's 32%. It's down there. You see Snapchat and Instagram kind of have similar kind of trajectories. And then some of kind of the smaller apps, Twitter, Twitch, WhatsApp, Reddit, those are all kind of hovering. But this is a very good kind of just eyeball graph in terms of just the usage of the biggest platforms. And I'm really, interested to see, okay, when that next study comes out, who knows, maybe, they'll probably do one in 2024, 2025. Where are those YouTube and TikTok? How steep are those lines going to be? I'm super interested in that. So moving along with graphs, we talk about how often. It's like I said, you see TikTok and Snapchat, they're on there almost constantly. So that these are the different kind of ways you can measure. Are they on it almost constantly, several times a day, about once a day, several times a week, less often? So it's interesting to look at these and see, okay, you laugh at that 2%. 2% teens are on it almost constantly. 67% do not use. And it's impressive to see this across the board. It's a lot of data. I don't want to throw it at you too fast, but it just kind of I gave all these slides to PJ as well. So if you feel the need to try and capture everything and take pictures, feel free to just contact PJ and he can give you these slides and these graphs. I can give you this data.
Hey Jay, we got a question.
Yeah, what's up?
So on YouTube, when you say they're on it almost constantly, isn't there a lot of school? Isn't there a lot of different things that go on at school where they're looking things up?
That is a good question. I would be interested to know in terms of the data points. I looked a little bit kind of at what size kind of groups that they pulled for this kind of stuff. And in 2022, it would have been a unique time for sure to try and get a finger on the pulse of what the YouTube usage was. I think there are certainly school districts and schools that maybe have some resources on YouTube that they use that primarily. But I think with Google Classroom, I think a lot of the resources are self-contained enough that there's not enough of like a spike in the usage because of school. And that's a good question. That's a really good question, actually. I don't want to say that conclusively, but I would not put too much weight in the YouTube numbers because of school. I would say it's more because of the daily lifestyle bloggers, the popular social media celebrities, gaming. We'll talk a little bit later about how much YouTube is investing in gaming and live streaming. That's a very good question. I see another question over there, sir.
Yes, sir. Your guesstimate or guess on how the pandemic affected how much time these kids are spending online. Was that just like a booster rocket to what happened recently, or you think that didn't have that much effect?
I think it absolutely did. I think it absolutely did. And certain platforms, especially, were more affected than others. I think you had teens kind of, there was even like Super Bowl ads about it. You see the Super Bowl ads about like the people just like swiping, I must go on a vacation. It could be to like Galveston, and that's good enough for me. Like you saw a lot of teens, they were in lockdown, they were at home. And I think there definitely were huge spikes. And I think the effects of that will be studied for a long time. I think I don't want to say repercussions, because I think that can be kind of a scary word. I think the ripple effects of what the pandemic and kind of maybe the escape that social media provided for teens. I don't think it should be viewed inherently in a negative way. I think it should definitely be considered in terms of thinking that, okay, these teens spent, well over a year, on lockdown, depending on, situations. And social media was an outlet for a lot of them. It was an escape for a lot of them. So I think there definitely was a spike, and there will definitely be platforms that got a boost from those numbers that are probably still riding the wave to this day. So like I said, I think it'll be studied for a long time with some really interesting data, but there will definitely be generations. And like I said, there's ripple effects. I think about all the time, especially in my role. I live stream masses here at the height of the pandemic. We were live streaming 15 masses a week for about 20,000 people a week. And it's like kind of something to grapple with. It's like, okay, am I teaching a generation that they can get Jesus online, that they can like log on and like live stream mass? And it was something to really kind of pray through and kind of grapple with. And I think seeing people come back to mass and those live stream numbers go down was great. But I think it's something that we can't just immediately jump to conclusions. I think there will be studies, and it'll be really interesting to see, like I said, the ripple effects. But to answer your question, yes, I absolutely think the pandemic had a big factor in a lot of these numbers you're going to see tonight and beyond. So good question. Great questions. Any other questions before I keep going? Awesome. So I really like these next few slides. Some really interesting demographics. So number one, looking at genders, teen girls are more likely than boys to use TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. Teen boys are more likely to use Twitch, Reddit, and YouTube. So just real quickly, not going too deep, Twitch is kind of a live streaming platform. It's very much for video games and kind of like a 24/7, kind of just like a just constant look into people's lives. They're constantly broadcasting. So guys are much more likely, mostly video games, I'd say. And Reddit is kind of like just like a big message board for a lot of like specific topics. So if a boy is very interested in, say baseball or Call of Duty, that kind of stuff, Twitch and Reddit are two very accessible areas where they can get very like specified, detailed information on that. Teen girls are more likely than their male counterparts to say they spend too much time on social media. So a lot of the Pew research was breaking down, okay, how much time do girls say that they say they're on versus boys? So that's interesting. If you have a girl, if you have a boy thinking about their social media usage, these are just kind of initial demographics. Teen girls are more likely than boys to feel overwhelmed because of drama on social media. And this is kind of a fun, how do you define drama on social media? That's a great poll question that I can't answer, but 45% said that they're more likely that they feel overwhelmed because of drama. 32% of boys said that. Teen girls are more likely than, their boys, that should be their male counterparts, boys, to feel like their friends are leaving them out of things. We're talking about that a little bit in a little bit as well, but 37% of girls feel that social media can show them kind of that portal to their friends being left out of things. And also, girls are more likely to feel worse about their lives because of social media. So 28% of girls said, teenage girls said they're likely to feel worse about their lives because of social media versus only 18% of boys. So that's just a quick little snapshot glance in the demographics of how boys and girls both kind of are involved in social media and the impact it can kind of have on them. Looking at another interesting demographic, Black and Hispanic teens stand out for being on the internet more frequently than white teens. 56% of Black teens and 55% of Hispanic teens say they're online almost constantly. So you think about, again, that graph of the different kind of sections compared to 37% of white teens. So it's very interesting, and there's some graphs here to break it down. Here's the platforms. So here's 5 of the most popular ones, and this is the trend for almost constantly. So when you look at YouTube, what percentage of teens are say almost constantly? So this is interesting. I'm not going to get into this. I can't really break down these numbers in detail. I was thinking about, your teens and who you have at your home in a beautiful, diverse parish, just like yours and mine. Knowing these things, these help us understand what apps are on, how much time they're spending on it. And it's just it builds a good foundation for knowing where teens are spending their time. And then that the conversation goes forth from there. So I just found these demographics, both in terms of genders and ethnicity, really interesting. And there's one more kind of big graph I have here. So sentiments on usage. So across the board, just in terms of US teens, 36% of teens think they're on social media too much. 55% think they're on it just about right. And 8% think too little. I just think that's funny. I'd love to talk to those 8% of teens. But so why? Why do you think you're on it too little? Just want to hear what they say. So again, you see boys, you have girls, you have different ethnicities, ages. I think I love that this disparity between 15 to 17. 42% think they're on it too much versus when they're 13 and 14, only 28%. So you see that trend that as they get older, they get kind of more aware. Okay, maybe I am spending too much time. My nose in my screen, little too much. So these numbers, they're not going to just jump off the page and tell you what you need to do in terms of being a parent, having phones in the house, that kind of stuff. The goal for these graphs and why I'm telling you this kind of stuff is just so you understand where teens are at, what they're doing, where they're spending their time, and how they feel about that. What are the sentiments on that usage? One last interesting demographic. I just added this slide just today. It's in terms of parent involvement in social media. So 22% of teens believe their parents are extremely or very worried about them using social media. 27% are somewhat worried, and 41% are only worried a little or not at all. So I just think that's interesting in terms of what teens think their parents feel about social media. You can each probably look at your own teen or your kids in your house, however old, or even just people and think, okay, what do they view? How do you think they view your understanding, comfort level with social media? My parents, when I was growing up, very much, I couldn't watch Cartoon Network. I got a flip phone when I was in middle school that cost 0.3 minutes just to read a text message, not even answer the dang things, had to just read it, 0.3. So like each generation is it's just a whole different landscape. But I think about how I view my parents and how I thought of their kind of attitude towards social media. And I think now I guarantee you my kid, my oldest is about to be 5 years old, my 5-year-old daughter. And I guarantee you she's going to have a different understanding, kind of a different opinion on how she thinks I view social media. And I think that's just something very interesting to think about. And this last little data point, 39% of 39% of teens say that their experiences are actually better than their parents think. So they're saying, hey, it's not as bad, it's not as dangerous, not as scary, it's better. Versus 27%, so still more than 1 in 4, they think social media is honestly worse than their parents think. So this can be some kind of daunting numbers to look at. Only a minority of teens think their parents are concerned. So you see that big old 41% chunk, they're not really worried, just a little bit. And 33, so 1 in 3 teens think their views are about right. Then you've got 39%. And that I think that is a silver lining. That's a point that you can say, okay, 39% of teens think it's better than we think it is. Is that reason for us to maybe, let our guard down or, not pay that much attention to it? Definitely not. I think it's, if anything, it's kind of an encouraging sign that that teens have a positive outlook on it. Now, is that are they looking through it through rose-colored glasses? Are they are they as wise and old as us? Definitely not. But I think it's just an important demographic and statistic to look at in terms of where the relationship between social media and teens and us, and kind of their perspective of how we see it. Does that make sense? Is this data all somewhat making sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. So this is gonna be a fun part. We're gonna dive into some of the most popular apps. So you've probably heard about these. And like I said, if not, do not worry. Don't worry if your kids aren't on these yet, if you're not on these, if you never heard about these. The most important thing is to be informed. So I'm gonna talk about how many teens are really using them, the main kind of just like format, what it is, that kind of stuff. And then one kind of danger, one thing to be aware of. And maybe I shouldn't have used danger. I think danger might have been a little too extreme, but maybe just one thing to be aware of. So first, YouTube, like I said, 95% of teens using it. It is dominating. It's a massive video library. Jumping down, look at that data's point, 2,500 new videos every minute. That is wild. It is increased. One thing, kind of data point I want to kind of talk about is an increased focus on gaming and live streaming. Twitch really used to be kind of the king of live streaming of video gamers. Ninja, if you know Tyler Ninja Blevins, he was pulling in tens, hundreds of thousands of people. And just in case you're curious, Twitch has kind of lost some steam. Twitch definitely isn't the king of the landscape anymore. YouTube has actually signed some big former Twitch streamers. They're putting more of an increase in video gaming and live streaming. So if you have a kid who's into streaming, into YouTube, and they watch that weird sensation of teens watching or kids watching other people play video games, it's still kind of a weird concept to some people. The YouTube is becoming a popular destination for that. And like I said, the danger is in the vastness. 2,500 new videos. That is a uphill battle in terms of content cleaning up, in terms of suggested videos. That's one of the reasons why, as a church here, we don't our stream broadcast, our live stream broadcast to YouTube, but it's not our primary platform. We primarily stream to Vimeo on our website because we don't love YouTube in the way you might watch a video and man, that suggested video is not A, related to what I just watched, and B, something I want to watch in general. So the vastness of YouTube, I think, is really where the main danger and the thing to be aware of is, in terms of there's a rabbit hole where my buddy Mike Gormley, who I work here with, he's a big nerd, and he'll watch some Star Wars like fan theory video, that kind of stuff. And he says he'll like fall asleep, and then it's a running game to see what weird content he's watching by the time he wakes up. All of a sudden, he'll be watching like top 10 like AI created like fan theories of Star, like it's a weird rabbit hole you can go down to. So the biggest danger, I think, YouTube is danger in the vastness. Number 2, TikTok. I think if I'm gonna just insert any kind of personal opinion here, I think TikTok is a dumpster fire platform. I do not like it, and I'm just gonna put that out there. I got major beef with TikTok. Anyway, moving on. 67% of teens are using it. Now videos can be this is probably, I think this actually might have changed. I should have double checked this, but I remember at least up to 90 seconds long. I think I remember seeing they're actually introducing more long form videos on TikTok. So yeah, they are. Yeah, thank you. Like I said, what did I say? Outdated already. I would say pretty easily it is ground zero for what's trending and what's talked about. It is the sounds are kind of like the trending audio, the music or the sound effects that get used repeatedly. If something, unique happens in pop culture, say, oh, I don't know, 2 popular actors get in some sort of physical altercation at an awards show, TikTok is going to be ground zero for the memes, for the jokes, for the spin-offs, for the reactions. It is for sure like the breeding ground for most things pop culture nowadays and what's talked about. And the danger, obviously, there's a lot of it, is in the algorithm and in data security. So I say algorithm because the algorithm that TikTok uses in order to curate. So if you've never been on TikTok, they kind of have, you can follow creators, you can follow people and brands and that kind of stuff. And you'll see on that picture the following page. So on the following, it's right here. So following. So when you're on that tab, only the people you follow, you'll see their content. But that little For You tab is where things get dicey because TikTok has an algorithm that they use to see, okay, what content are you watching? How long are you watching it? Do you click on their profile after you watch a video? The thing with their algorithm is we don't know it. They have never publicly released their algorithm. We don't know how they come up with this content or how they figure out what content to feed you. And that is scary. That is weird. They know you'll that's that classic thing of like, I would talk to my wife about like pool skimmers, we don't own a pool. But I'll be talking to my wife about pool skimmers. The next day I'm on Instagram. All of a sudden I got 17 ads for pool skimmers from, Pools USA. TikTok is just like that, where you'll be amazed at how personal and detailed the algorithm feeds you content. And it's all in an effort to make you just keep scrolling, keep swiping, that kind of stuff. So the algorithm, there's a danger there where they'll know, sometimes it feels like they know you better than you know yourself. And that's dangerous for teens because all of a sudden, like that rabbit hole happens. All of a sudden, they start. There's kind of subgenres where it's like, okay, it's like food talk. So it's like food dash talk, and that's just kind of slang for like a subgenre within TikTok that's centered around food. And there's I could spend an entire night probably diving into different talks within TikTok. But what happens with the algorithm is you interact with a few videos around the same similar topic or genre or artist, and next thing you know, that For You page is just saturated with that content. And that can be dangerous if some of that interaction is maybe not good content, maybe not from a good creator. All of a sudden, it amplifies. And secondly, data security. So it is for TikTok is owned by a Chinese company. They have been sued multiple times and will be sued again, I'm sure, in terms of data breaches and personal information. It's why it's banned in Texas. That's why Greg Abbott said, you know what, we don't want this on Texas devices. So I would definitely say the dangers in TikTok most primarily are in the algorithm and in data security. Moving on.
Got a question.
Instagram. Oh, what's up? What's up?
So on this one too, it's also very dangerous because this one's I think one of the easiest, especially when you start have that option for duetting.
Yes.
For YouTube, you get involved, you're following, you're watching, but this one, then your kids start putting their stuff out there with duetting, and then they see the likes, and then they get into that whole endorphin release when they start getting likes and all that from them.
Absolutely.
Just crazy.
Yeah, duetting is definitely, for those who don't know what duetting is, basically it's the ability to take a popular video and then you create your own video with the previous video on half the screen and your video on the other half. So it's a very popular topic. Say if there's a viral video of like something very dramatic happening or very like crazy happening, you'd be amazed at how sometimes it feels almost like dumbed down videos where basically a content creator can take a video and all they're doing is just on the side just going like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, look at this. And that is what it almost will overshadow the initial video. So that's where sounds get trending, that's where like reactions get trending. And so that's a great point. Duetting can be in their mind be like, oh, I'm just going to share my reaction to said popular culture event. But then if you say you click on that sound that's attached to that event, then their duet can now be attached to said event. Sorry, this might be getting a little too rabbit holey. But long story short, duetting and those kind of similar features can kind of seem like, oh, I'm just sharing my reaction, my opinion, my view. And then it can kind of reach a larger audience necessary potentially than maybe a teen on TikTok might think about. So that's a very good point. Yes. Any other general thoughts or questions for TikTok? We could probably, man, PJ, we could have a whole nother session on this dumpster fire app. All right, moving on. Instagram, man, this was king when I was in high school and college. 62% teens still using it. Photo, video sharing. Just kind of right off the bat, reels reign supreme. So reels are kind of the Instagram answer to TikTok. So it was very much introduced as a direct competitor. They are now up to 90 seconds. I know that for a fact. I say it reigns supreme also analytically. On my church I run our Instagram account, and I can look at the analytics, like a really awesome picture, very powerful picture of the Eucharist. It is whatever I want to post. And then if I post a reel, it will reach a wider audience by a mile. So many more people. Instagram pushes reels. They're suggested on Facebook because Instagram's owned by Facebook. So you'll see, suggested reels on your Facebook, so that they rip those directly from Instagram. So reels absolutely are the king content on Instagram right now. It's rapidly expanding, I would say. Instagram is it's trying to become, I think, an all-in-one platform. So Instagram Marketplace, if you've never heard of that, the marketplace on Instagram is becoming very popular, where you might have a celebrity post a picture with some different clothing, some different outfits, and then when you tap on the picture, instead of like the tags of who's in it, like a handle of a friend or who else is in the picture, it'll be a direct link to a website to buy that shirt, buy those shoes, buy that outfit. So it is a visual form of marketing and advertising that is going to be continuing to be expanded upon for sure. But Instagram is very much trying to be a one-stop shop for all things kind of social media. And I put the danger for Instagram, I would say, is kind of in the filtered aspect of life. And I think this kind of this is kind of a bigger topic that I kind of touch on a little bit later, but I have some statistics here to kind of talk about. And I mentioned it kind of that earlier slide, talking about teens feeling like they're left out of things. I think Instagram is probably the biggest bad guy in terms of teens feeling pressure to present their lives as more glamorous, more happy, more filtered than they really are. You see teens very much trying to compete with each other to show like what are the cool things they're doing on the weekend. Look how happy they are. Look how smooth their skin is. I think there's a very existential danger in the filtered aspect of life on Instagram, where you see young people are very much setting their self-worth on how many likes they get. If it doesn't reach a certain threshold, they'll delete the picture. If it's very much a form of social currency, I think, on Instagram, in terms of how many followers you have. I think, if anything, Instagram is the biggest perpetrator of this kind of just mindset and mentality. So I would say if there's any kind of one thing we focus on Instagram, the danger, it's in the filtering of lives of the young people. Does that make sense? Is that a thing that you guys understand what I'm talking about?
It's like Facebook, like Facebook is like fake book, you know, you got the good
Yeah.
picture of the family. Well, now that's happening on Instagram with kids.
Yeah. It's like one of my distant relatives lives in Louisiana. They still do that thing where they send their New Year's card. They do like a quick little summary of all the stuff that they did that year. I'm like, that's cool. I would love like an honest card. It's be like, oh yeah, my 3-year-old still poops outside. My 4-year-old heard me say a bad word and now she said it's at preschool. You know, like I think I think that's definitely Facebook, but I think for teens, Instagram is very much a competitive. They log on, it's competition. It's log on and look how cool I am, look how happy I am. And as data will show, we'll talk about in a little bit, like I said, think about those percentage of teens that feel worse about their lives. Why? Why would they feel worse about their lives? It's because they see someone else's life, how it looks on Instagram. They think, I'm not that happy. I don't live in a house that big. My dad's car's not that nice. I didn't get to go on that vacation. There's a lot of really tragic stories that you can look up about, like, I think of this one athlete that made the news, this young track runner at a college who, from all her friends, was just known as a super outgoing, bubbly girl. She tragically ended her life, and it was in her note, and a lot of the reflection on what happened. It was all about social media. It was all about just the pressure that she felt under. Just like it's tragic. It really is. So that's why I wanted to include that. Just it's a danger in the filtered aspect of life. Moving on, Snapchat. This app doesn't make sense to me. It was cool for a little bit. 59% of teens use it. Disappearing photos. I haven't used Snapchat and oh man, it's got to be at least more 5+ years, 5-6 years. My fellow friends who I still see on Snapchat, I make fun of them relentlessly. Streaks make no sense. I have kids who will help me at mass. They'll like run lyrics or they'll help me at mass, and I see them get a Snapchat and they'll just like get their phone, just take a picture like their elbow and send it back.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was that? Like, why does your friend want a picture of your elbow? It's like, it's a streak, bro. I've been doing a streak for like 3.5 years. I'm like, you're telling me, you're telling me that you've been taking pictures of your bedroom ceiling, your elbow, and your cat for 3.5 years? Like, it doesn't make sense. But it's important to know about. It's a growing media platform. They have Snapchat TV. They have their own series. They have their own content. It's a growing media company. It is. It's Snap Inc. You know, they have physical items. They have Snap glasses. They have a lot going on. It'd be unwise to ignore Snapchat still, even though I think it is kind of I think if I just putting my 2 cents in there, if we're looking at another app that will probably be on the chopping block the next time we're talking social media, it's going to be Snapchat. I think Snapchat will be the one on the outs. I think enough other apps are kind of poaching features of Snapchat that they'll either need to rapidly expand at a greater rate into a new kind of avenue or new lane, or they'll need to just merge or be bought out. I think Snapchat probably, yeah, that's just my 2 cents. But the biggest danger here is in the false sense of security it can give, because like I said, the kind of main gist of it is, okay, it's just a snapshot. It's a quick picture. Most of them expire. Most of them are typically disappearing photos. But you never underestimate the creativity of teens. Never underestimate their wiliness. So nothing can stop them from having a second device okay, they think they're opening a temporary picture. Hey, what happens if you take a picture of a temporary picture? That picture is no longer temporary. There's a lot of features within Snapchat of like just for me kind of libraries. There's lots of different things that have kind of a false sense of security. So don't let the kind of the instantaneous factor of Snapchat make you think, oh, this picture won't live on the internet forever. Because it will. It's a false insecurity. It's not real. So it's important to know about for sure. And then my personal favorite, the current big thing. I want to see how many people can guess this. This app was released in 2019. It hit #1 in July of 2022. In September 22, this app had 13.89 million downloads, and that was much more than TikTok 7.5 million that same month. Does anyone want to guess what this app is?
Be real. Be real. Thank you.
Be Real. Well done, parents. It is Be Real. It has 10 million active daily users.
That's a lot.
The premise of this app is everyone who's on it gets a notification at the same time every day. They have 2 minutes, and my friends, it says it's time to be real. And the context and the premise of this is basically to say, hey, Instagram's super filtered. Most social media is fake. If we give you a 2-minute window to take a picture of whatever the heck you're doing, it is honestly a very authentic snapshot, a look into what the heck are people doing in 2 minutes. What are they doing? I use Be Real because it's a very unique platform, and as you see on here, there's no advertising yet. There's no business. There's no verification. It's still very organic, which is very interesting. Will it continue to be that way? I guarantee you it will not. But as of right now, it's a very unique platform because I see my friends doing dishes. I see them in the car. It's a very it is very unfiltered. Now, we're talking dangers. There is danger in the immediate because, my friends, if you guess what happens if you don't post in those 2 minutes and you say hypothetically you're doing something else that maybe wouldn't warrant or is inappropriate for you to take a personal picture. Oh, I should mention, when you do Be Real, it takes a front picture on your front camera and back. So it very much gives a 180-degree look into what you're doing. So if I'm doing the dishes, as I feel like I always am whenever Be Real goes off, it's a look at my face looking down at a sink full of dishes, and on the other side is a sink full of dishes. So, but if you get that ding and you're doing something probably not worthy of a photo and you post late, you get your friends on Be Real will get a notification that you posted a late reel because Be Real wants them to know that your Be Real wasn't being real. So it's hard to say that it's penalizing them, but in a way it is. It will say your brother posted a late reel. So in snowball effect there, with the kind of incentivization to post in that 2-minute window, if your kid's on the toilet and they get that notification, do you think they're going to wait 2 minutes and wait till after they're done and post a late reel and forever be labeled as a late Be Reeler? No, they're probably going to post a picture of themselves in the bathroom. That's just kind of the honest reality of it. So the danger I think with Be Real is in the immediate. It's in this kind of weird, like, again, this weird pressure to again be online, show people what you're doing. But Be Real it's so unique. It's not going to be this way forever. It's kind of in this nice stage right now where it's still organic. But one other thing I just also thought of is you can browse reels. So you can browse other people and there be reels. So I think there is kind of almost a danger in it still being it's still finding its footing. It's still finding its footing in terms of who are they showing? Who can you browse? Are your reels showing up on someone else's browse? Are they getting a look? I think they're going to definitely need to kind of tighten up their security and have the option to kind of opt out of that stuff because right now, very limited security settings. But yeah, it went to the moon. It blew up very quickly, very fast. And it's very likely that someone or your teens know someone who are on Be Real. Just briefly, I typically try and think of apps in two kind of different kind of classifications. You have content apps where content is the main kind of thing. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, Twitch, and then also communication. Snapchat, WhatsApp, Discord, Whisper, Kick, Telegram. So just keep that in mind. It's going to come up a couple of times later. But just when I'm talking about apps, some are focused on content and some are focused on communication. So I think that's just kind of an important clarification about these apps. Does someone have a question? Was it about Be Real? No, sorry. I looked over my other screen. I thought I saw a question. So on this note, some important notes. These apps are constantly evolving. YouTube added shorts. So if you've ever heard of YouTube Shorts, it's YouTube's answer to TikTok. It's the same concept. It's scrolling, it's short, immediate gratification videos. Vice versa, Reels are getting longer. marketplaces galore. So these, again, like I said, in terms of an outdated kind of landscape, these apps are constantly evolving. So it's important to always know about them. A lot of apps are hybrid apps. So we look back on these kind of content and communication apps. How many of these apps also have built-in communication devices? Instagram, of course. Instagram DMs are wildly popular. So it may be primarily a content app, but a lot of apps that seem primarily focused on content, they may be getting used more than dedicated communication apps because of their built-in messaging systems. So it's important to be aware of. And last but not least, transparency is a rare commodity. And I think this is really interesting. And if there's one thing that kind of maybe just piques your interest tonight, it's this. TikTok opened an entire transparency reports and transparency center to address. Oh, sorry. My camera went to sleep. Oh, you guys still see me?
We just see the slideshow right now, Jay.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. That's okay. I like to see my face anyway. So they opened up a building. This is a physical place. They brought out reporters and gave tours of this place because there's been so much backlash and outcry against the algorithm. And how do they decide what gets banned? How do they decide what gets reinstated? And they opened this building and they put out safety reports. And I want to show you some of them. I want to show you some of them because this is what they classify as kind of transparency. So here's one of the graphs they use, and the last data is from September of 2022, and this is a graph that shows the total videos removed, total videos by quarter. So this graph is basically saying that from July to September of 2022, they were removing almost 1% of the videos published on TikTok. And when you kind of think about that, you think about how many millions and trillions of videos on TikTok, that means 1 in every 100 video they were taking down. And so I think of that in kind of transparency realm of like, yeah, that's good to know, but like, that's kind of scary, honestly. That's kind of wild to think about. And then you go even a little bit deeper. Why?
Yeah, but why?
So in that realm, in that time window, 42% of those deletions were for minor safety, keeping minors safe. Now, TikTok writes these kind of different categories of integrity and authenticity, hateful behavior, violent graphic content, and you can kind of see how the majority of these kind of things are all on this lower realm of violent content, harassment, and it gets lighter the higher up you go. But you think about one in every 100 video, they are deciding, man, we got to take this down. So it's interesting that they're vague yet specific at the same time in terms of how they're talking about what they're taking down. And my favorite part in these data things is they talk about their covert influence operations, where they talk about when they found networks from other countries that were targeting certain individuals. And this is a long, this is a screenshot. This is a long report. So they're talking about they found 1,600 accounts with a total of over 100,000 followers that were using speech synthesis to amplify a pro-Russia viewpoint. This is a long report, my friends. So this is what they're showing. This is the stuff that they're kind of their network, their place is uncovering. So yes, transparency is a rare commodity in the aspect of other companies and other medias and other apps kind of talking about this. TikTok's been under so much kind of backlash that they kind of had to get this kind of their hands dirty. But at the same time, it almost is like, okay, I kind of want to know more about this. Like, I kind of want to know, why did you delete those apps or those videos? How long were those videos up for? Did you catch them or did other people catch them? Because if other people caught them, that means they had to watch them first. So I say transparency is a rare commodity because even in these avenues of quote unquote transparency, I still have a lot of questions. So
Jay,
yeah, go for it.
Mirrors though, because they're people who are saying they're being transparent are the people who are TikTok is trying to police itself.
Sure.
Like transparency. So it's really smoke and mirrors.
Yes,
right?
it's definitely. Yeah, a lot of grains of salt. I'd say grain, it might be an understatement. You see some companies talk about, okay, they had we're going to talk a little bit about the blackout challenge that was on TikTok. And TikTok claimed they had like an outside investigation, like an outside unit that like came through that kind of stuff. And like, man, I really want to believe that, but it's hard. It is hard to take that honestly and believe that. So yeah, that's a great point. It definitely is. It's definitely something to think about. They're policing themselves. They're setting the playing field. So that's important to be aware of. So we are making our way through it, my friends. Here is I want to talk about I really, because this could be such a longer thing. I really want to talk about, just in my experience and my knowledge, social media. I want to talk about 3 words and 2 people you should know. So if these are new to you, if you're familiar with these, 3 words and 2 people you should know. So first up is swatting. So this is kind of an extreme avenue in the realm of social media. If this is foreign to you, that's okay. Don't be surprised by this. Don't be scared of this. This is not necessarily an everyday thing, but it is something I feel is gaining in popularity and relevance that I wanted to tell you about it. So it's the act of reporting a fake crime or act situation that results in a rapid response unit being deployed, normally a SWAT team. It occurs primarily to popular live streamers. So the example of this would be, say, my man PJ was at home. He's live streaming some Fortnite. He's out there cranking 90s. He's crushing it. And he's broadcasting live to maybe, I don't know, 100 people. Well, you know what? I've got a bone to pick with PJ. And for some reason, I don't like him. But you know what would be funny? If I get to watch on camera a SWAT unit break down his door and hold him up at gunpoint because they think like an active shooter situation is going on. So what will happen is these individuals, these very sick individuals, will call the police and say, "Hey, I heard gunshots at this address. This person told me that they're going to take this person hostage." And the SWAT team, the police officers, they have to go off this word. They have to believe them if there's enough credible information. And what this kind of results in is a really dangerous situation. And there are clips upon clips of popular streamers that just get their door kicked in. And these people think it's such a funny little game, but it is so dangerous. It is so dangerous. And so it's one of those things that teens will do nowadays where they think it's like a fun digital game, but it is so real and so in real life. It's so tangibly dangerous that it's something to be aware of. That it's mostly live streamers. It's mostly popular people. It probably will never happen to your kid. God forbid it'll ever be one of your kids. But it's something that I think is trending enough upwards that I wanted to tell you about it, as crazy as it sounds. Swatting. One of the things I want to tell you about. Number 2, stan. Stan. That is such a creepy picture. I included it on purpose. A stan is defined as an overzealous or obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. Now, this honestly, I think, in my opinion, is already becoming an outdated term, which is hilarious to me. It originated from a 2000 Eminem song, "You Don't Want to Hear," titled "Stan." It sampled that popular song, "But the tears don't come and I wonder why." Da-na-na-na-na-na. So he sampled that. It's a very dark, very twisted song. But the premise is this crazy fan of Eminem. His name was Stan. Went to great lengths to look like Eminem. So it became such an official term. It's in the Oxford Dictionary. And certain groups have different nicknames. So the stans, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. The stans of Beyonce are known as the Beehive. The stans of Nicki Minaj are known as the Barbs. Like, they each have their own kind of subgroup. I would say this because I include this where I think you should know it, because if a teen is a stan of a celebrity, a musician, a figure, it typically means it's gone past the point of just a normal fan of, like, I like Bad Bunny's music, I like Charlie D'Amelio content. If they're a stan of that person, it is bordering into the realm of obsession. It is to the point of, like, Nicki Minaj stans are very notoriously abusive to anyone who has in any way negative Nicki Minaj. So, like, if a reporter writes a story on something about Nicki Minaj that they decide is unflattering. Next thing, this is a real story. Next thing you know, that reporter is getting death threats. Their boss is getting emails calling them to be fired because they said some racial slur they never did. Their address is being posted online. They're being they're being harassed across the board because they are so defensive of this celebrity musician. They stand them so hard. That's a real sentence I said out loud. That they are overzealous. They are obsessive. So I think this is a term and a word that you should know about, because if your teen, if your kid, if they ever maybe refer to themselves, and this is, again, this is not a one size fits all. If you hear a teen say, "Oh, I stan this couple," that's not necessarily saying like I'm going to like murder anyone who tries to get in the way of this relationship. That it could be, it can be used in a casual sense, but it is a term with enough negative connotation that I think it's important you know about it. A stan of a celebrity is bordering kind of past the point of just healthy enjoyment of that individual. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So you'd Stan equal, also, again, another song along with Yeet. Don't go listen to Stan. Okay. And last but not least, Chat GPT. Raise your hand if you know what Chat GPT is. Okay. Wow, good. Shout out you guys. Good job.
Yeah.
So Chat GPT it's kind of stretching the realm of social media, but it is, I think, again, it is something that you should know about. Write this down. It is a chat bot similar to like old here, let me show my age. It's similar to old AIM chatbot, AIM, the dial-up internet, a chatbot from OpenAI at the forefront of artificial intelligence. It is a robot. It is robotic artificial intelligence. It can generate articles, essays, etc., based on prompts you type in. It reached 100 million monthly active users in 2 months. Most internet experts and studies said this was the most explosive platform in the last 20 years of the internet. This is a guaranteed, hands down, one of the most revolutionary platforms you will ever see. If you have been on Zillow in the past month, you have probably experienced something, whether you knew it or not, created by Chat GPT. It is groundbreaking. You can go on the chat. It's free. It's not an app. It's a web browser. So OpenAI, like I said, it's the creator behind it. It's in a web browser, and you can say, write me a homily in the style of Father Mike Schmitz about hot dogs being sandwiches. And it will, in seconds, create an absolutely perfect, like indecipherably fake homily that sounds, you can hear it in Father Mike Schmidt's voice, but it's about hot dogs. It already is in real estate. Realtors are literally going quaint 3-bedroom oceanside, boom, all of a sudden they have a listing just like that. Papers, professors are going to have to figure out, did a teen write this or did a robot write this?
Hey, Jay,
Yes.
I was on Canva and I was messing around with just trying to figure it all out.
Yep.
And there's a thing where you can click on that, and I
Text
said,
to image.
write something on Lent. It was so creepily weird that it was accurate. I just deleted it. So I'm like, this is too weird. And then I guess some professors just got suspended from a university for having AI write out something on emergency when something happened on campus. They didn't actually write anything.
Nope.
AI, and they ended up getting suspended.
This will be what we're talking about the next time we talk. The funny thing is, to combat already, this has only been out for so short, but it's already such a game changer. To combat the misinformation of, okay, is this authentic? Is this AI generated? OpenAI created their own tool to quote unquote help you, like, okay, so you input some text and it will like study it and say, okay, this is real, or okay, this is AI generated. OpenAI, using their own tool, if you put in the first like 6 verses from the book of Genesis, it will classify it as they think it's AI generated. Needless to say, not exactly a glowing reputation of their own tool if scripture is being flagged as AI generated. Don't look into that too theologically. That just goes to show it's a long way away till we know what's real and what's fake. But you should know about this. Chat GPT is going to be Bing. If you remember that archaic Google search engine called Bing, Bing is now trying to compete with Google because they are now using a chat GPT structure where they're going to try and already know what you are asking for before you ask it. This artificial intelligence is going to seep into so many aspects of our daily lives. To the Terminator movie series is going to happen. Moving on.
And this does also software language also. Besides,
Yes.
and some of these also do images. You can tell it to you give it a description of an image and it'll come up with images of things that you, and there's not only chat GPT, but there's all kinds of different things used for all this AI for whatever you need. If you research right now, if you want a certain type of thing, there's a certain website or something that using this type of format that will use it. Is that correct, Jay?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of spin-offs of this already. So there's apps, Mid Journey, DAL-E, so DALL-E. Those are kind of the two most popular. It's all prompt based. So just like you said, you could give it a prompt saying, draw me a picture of a rubber duck riding a skateboard in the art style of Vincent van Gogh. And in like a few minutes, it will generate like 6 different ones for you to choose from of exactly that. So yeah, you're right on. It is mind blowing what this is going to create and what you can create with it. There's a lot of debate about this. Is it real art? Is it, you see some of those images, you see like in the corners of some of the images, like some little scrawls, some little like, it looks like handwriting. That's because Chat GPT, that's because whatever format, what it was trying to use, when it was creating this artificial intelligence image, this kind of just smorgasbord hybrid image, one of those at some point had a watermark. And that watermark is now just a small little scratch on the picture. But it's just this bigger question of like, okay, is this plagiarism? Whose art is this? Is this real art? This lady tried to publish a book on Amazon of like an entire computer generated like kids storybook, and she just got like ran off the internet because like you didn't write that book, a computer did. So this is going to be dialogue for a long time, this prompt based artificial intelligence. But you should know about it, because if you haven't heard about it now, you're going to. So Chat GPT, the more you know. And then last but not least, in terms of things you should know, I just wanted to highlight one creator you definitely don't want to know about and one you should. So the one I'm going to talk about, say you should not know about, is this gentleman named Andrew Tate. I hope you don't know who he is, but if you do, he's a former kickboxer turned social media personality. He has founded an online community focused on business called Hustlers University. And just to kind of give you an idea of his character, he's currently in jail in Romania for several charges on human trafficking and organized crime. This man, he is banned on most social media platforms. That's how bad he is. Very misogynistic, very brash, harsh. He he peddles his claim of like escaping the matrix. He refers to himself as a top G. Like unironically, he actually called himself a top G, which embarrassing, am I right? And a lot of young men are attracted to this though, because his videos are very well made. It's very much, look at this Bugatti, look at this success that I have. Come pay $40 a month for this Hustlers University, where it's very much smoke and mirrors. It's very much trying to like sell something while ever actually owning that something, being a middleman. It is not worth your time. It's not worth your kids' time. He is the opposite of a role model. I really cannot express enough. If I'm going to insert my own kind of 2 cents, he is not someone you want your kids listening to. He's in jail for very good reason. So I just, if he is kind of on your kids' screens, a big part of his success is that you can get access to Hustlers University by being a freelance advertiser for Andrew Tate. So he has people out there who are just spamming TikTok, spamming Instagram, flooding these platforms with his content in order to reach more people. So very savvy businessman, very terrible person. So Andrew Tate, big thumbs down. Thumbs up. Mr. Beast. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy. Yes, worthy of highlighting. He's a YouTuber and philanthropist. Very much kind of a first of his kind in terms of expensive videos. He is a rare content creator who's wholesome and innovative. He has videos ranging from going through the same drive-through 1,000 times, which is just hilarious, to paying. This actually created a lot of debate. He paid for 1,000 people to get cataract surgery to restore their vision. Now, this kind of prompts a greater question about the state of American healthcare, but he really did. He paid for 1,000 strangers to get kind of this cataract surgery, this very simple cataract surgery, so they could see again. Now, like I said, this created a pretty interesting discourse online about like, okay, like who is this Jesus YouTuber guy out here bringing sight to these people? So, but I wanted to highlight him because he is one of the biggest creators, but he is wholesome. His content is good. It's positive. He can be a little kind of silly and goofy. Like, he has a very inappropriately named nut brand. I'll just leave it at that, like a peanut brand. That's like the extent of his inappropriateness. And I think in today's day and age, if that's the best we get, that's the best we get. But I think in terms of Andrew Tate bad, Mr. Beast good. So wrapping up here, the last couple of things I want to talk about is just some kind of just general hidden dangers that I want parents to be aware of. And this kind of goes along the lines of ChatGPT and a lot of stuff. And the first one I talk about is deep fakes. So I don't know if you ever saw this guy, Tom Cruise, supposedly on TikTok. It's not Tom Cruise. It is artificial intelligence. It is this thing called process learning. It's a computer taking hundreds of thousands of videos and pictures and learning what they look like. And it creates this mask that looks so real. Kendrick Lamar has a music video using this technology. It's very much becoming popular. It's specialized software. It's not easy. It's not something your kid could probably just pick up a phone and just immediately be able to do today. I'm not saying that's not possible tomorrow, but it's still it takes special software to make it really look unique. But it's something to be aware of. We've only just begun to explore the repercussions of this technology. I'm scared to think about what's going to happen when what looks like a video of a nation's leader, a popular social media figure, you name it, a video goes viral online of them either saying something disparaging, something inflammatory, something outright dangerous. How do you know if it's real or not? Deep fakes are almost indiscernible in terms of their differences. And this goes a long way, especially in terms of pornography, unfortunately. Deep fakes of pornographic material are rampant because you take popular celebrities who would never, in a million years, associate themselves with pornographic material. You take their face and you plaster it onto pornographic material. In not much time, you've got what looks like authentic material of a celebrity. Now replace celebrity like with your kid. It's scary. It's something definitely to be aware of. This is in the news constantly. It's like I said, still beginning to explore the repercussions of this technology. If you really want to be scared and have your mind blown, go to this-person-does-not-exist.com. And the pictures you see are not actual people. I didn't want to spend too much time on it. If you want to go look at it, but it will look just like a slideshow. They are all computer-generated images. It is wild. And I could give you a million different scary examples of how scammers and inappropriate sexual deviants online can use this technology. But like I said, it's still just distant enough in terms of the difficulty to make it look indiscernible, to be like, hey, don't freak out yet. Like the Titanic's not sinking yet. But it's getting into the mainstream enough that you should be aware of it. Deep fakes are something that will continue to be a discussion point for sure. Secondly, TikTok trends. Time and time again, viral challenges on TikTok involve dangerous activities that lure kids with hopes of virality. And this is what, y'all were talking about in terms of, clicks and just the endorphins of getting, if you hop on a viral sound at the right time, when people look up that sound, their video might be near the top because they used a popular sound. The issue is with the algorithm, with TikTok's inability to police their content as much as they like to say they can, dangerous activities will trend. There was a trend called the blackout challenge, where basically it was a form of asphyxiation. It led to the deaths of at least 15 kids aged 12 or younger in the span of 18 months. I do not recommend you read these articles because they are gut-wrenching articles. My daughter was asleep when I was writing this article, and I went in and just gave her a hug because it is gut-wrenching to think about how a social media platform could promote and like have a viral activity as dangerous as this. And it's just the beginning. It's going to happen again. You're going to hear this again soon from a TikTok challenge. So TikTok trends are something to be aware of because they are so flash in the pan. You know, something might be trendy today, a trend today won't be a trend tomorrow, but it's dangerous enough that that trend today, you should know about it. And it's going to be impossible to stay ahead of the curve on all these trends, but just knowing that TikTok trends can be dangerous is an important information point that I want you to know about. The blackout challenge will probably not come back, but something else that puts teens in harm's way inevitably will. And the third one I want to talk about is doom scrolling. So this is similar to the pandemic. This is something that came up in the pandemic. It is defined as scrolling through social media and news feeds where users obsessively seek for depressing and negative information. This is a relatively new concept. It's picked up steam since the pandemic, but it has shown in early studies to show a decline in mental and physical health. I think a lot of this kind of just has to kind of go into the realm of teens just wanting to feel something, wanting to kind of maybe just have some sort of emotion invoked on social media. You know, you scroll, and doom scrolling is something that you've probably done maybe without even realizing it. But it's something that I think maybe your teens don't know they're doing it without even realizing it. And we're going to talk in just a second about how teens they see social media negatively impacting themselves less than they think it impacts other people negatively. So in that aspect, they're looking at other people and it may be, you know, depressing or negative information, and they just could keep scrolling. They keep doom scrolling. Maybe it's because it makes them feel better about themselves. Maybe it's just this weird kind of like just invoking weird emotion. But doom scrolling actually, I think, again, will be another interesting study to keep tabs on to see what role does this pandemic content, riot content, you know, public figures death, it was all over the news for such a long time frame, news cycle, that doom scrolling actually is now a term. So those were the things I wanted to kind of tell you about in terms of dangers. But to round it out real quick, we're going to talk about silver linings. It's not all scary stuff is a subgenre of this one. So here's a bright side. Hey, look at that cute little face. I know her. 8 in 10 teens say that what they see on social media makes them feel more connected to what's going on in their friends' lives. 8 in 10 teens. I mean, yeah. I mean, look at your friends having a good time. They post that picture. They know what their friend's doing. It's what they're up to. 71% say it feels like they have a place where they can show their creative side. So they draw a picture. If I'm going to give any credit to TikTok, it's that some teams are so creative with their editing, with the effects, with the transitions. It's insane. You're going to see filmmakers and content creators that got started on TikTok. So it is a place to showcase creativity. 67% of these platforms make them feel as if they have people who they can support, who can support them through tough times. And these sentiments are expressed by teens across demographic groups. Doesn't matter gender, doesn't matter ethnicity. These were pretty consistent. So these are some bright spots that there is hope. There is on these platforms. Teens are saying, okay, it's not all bad, guys. Here's a graph. Majorities of teens in social media provide them a space of connection. So you see more connected to what's going on in their lives. 33% say a lot. 47% say a little. That's a net 80. 42% say social media helps them feel more accepted. Now, granted, again, what does that entail? Something to be aware of. Something, okay, why would they feel more accepted on social media? That's something that, again, that's the conversation starter. This is the information to be aware of. And then the conversation starter is, okay, as a teen, as a youth, why does social media make them feel more accepted? But this is just a silver lining I kind of wanted to share with you. Teens are more likely to say these sites have had a positive rather than negative impact on them. So I think this is interesting. So 32% of teens say they had a mostly positive impact by social media. 59% are kind of neutral. neither positive or negative. And you see the kind of different reasons. Okay, they have connections, socializing, entertainment, fun. My favorite by far is that 2%. Just because it does. You can just hear that in the teen. You know what I mean? Like, what? Just because it does. Get off my back. Jeez, you know. But I think this is that silver lining of, okay, you know, there are positives to social media. It's not a big, bad, scary desert landscape dumpster fire. So it's worth highlighting. So why I think this is important, helping the other. While just 9% of teens think social media has had a mostly negative effect on them, 32% of teens think that social media has had a mostly negative effect on others. So think about that for a second. Only 9% see social media and think this has had a bad effect on me. But almost 1 in 3 think it has a negative effect on others. So what does that make social media? I've called it a minefield and a mission field. It's a minefield in the fact that a lot of the content is terrible. It's scary, it's dangerous, it's bad, it is pollution, it's just turning into screen numbing zombies. But there's a mission field out there. There's a chance for young people to show authenticity, to show Catholic faith, to show them going to mass, to encourage friends when they see someone posting that stuff that you can tell they're down, they're having a hard time. Social media is that mission field where they can reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Can we get coffee tomorrow? I see it as a mission field. And I think that's worthy of conversation to say, yes, there's negative effects. But if teens are saying, I see it affecting others worse than it's affecting me, that means there's a chance for them to help the other. So I think that's worthy of conversation. So my last couple of slides are just resources that aren't cheesy Facebook memes. I've seen this police officer, his name's like Officer Gomez or something. He's like popped to my feed all the time. I ain't gonna lie, his stuff's kind of cheesy. His stuff a little too cheeseball, a little black and white for me. He's got good points, but I wanted to give you some resources that aren't cheesy Facebook memes. So here you go. First up, Life Teens Parent Life. They've kind of phased out of this platform. They haven't updated it in a while. Shameless plug, that's my article in the top left talking about Twitch. So if I'm gonna, you know, toot my own horn, I've written a couple articles that are still promoted on Parent Life, but these are just kind of good Catholic helpful blogs, articles, pop culture, parenting, faith. They used to do these kind of like pop culture in the moment kind of things. They talk about like what's going on in the current landscape. I don't really know if Life Team's going to prioritize this content going forward, but there's enough good content already here that it's worth bookmarking. So ltparentlife.com. Internetmatters.org. This website is awesome. This website has so much stuff, guides, tips, confirmation starters, videos, everything you kind of think of. It's actually in partnership with a lot of big brands. Like TikTok, like Samsung, like big media conglomerates. Maybe, you know, it may be their cop out of like, look at this good resource we have to help people, you know, combat the stuff that they find on our own platform. Regardless, this is a great database of information. Internetmatters.org. It helps keep children safe. If some of the stuff has piqued your interest, if some of the stuff is raised or a yellow or even a red flag about how your kids have been using social media and apps and that kind of stuff, this is where you can get more information. This is where you can get experts. I'm not an expert, but internetmatters.org, bookmark that for sure. And lastly, commonsense.org. Common Sense, you know, Common Sense is a good resource, but commonsense.org. It's a nonprofit dedicated to helping schools and teachers, but also has resources for families, reviews by other parents. So if you see up here, you can kind of tab for parents or for educators. So if you're interested, if the movie Cocaine Bear is good for your kids to go watch in theaters, spoiler alert, it's not. You can go on this website, read the reviews, read about the content. Commonsense.org is a very good nonprofit. I like Parent Life because it's Catholic. These other two are not. So like Parent Life is very much Catholic content. Internet Matters and Common Sense are not, but they are good, just vast resources. If you want to know what Rocket League is, and I heard my kid talking about Rocket League on the Xbox, and that's just like another like that's Latin to you. you should go look at these websites because they'll help you understand it and not make you feel like it's alien. These are two good resources. I think that's it. Yeah. Questions. This is me running into a wall with social media.
Questions, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Can you comment a little bit about some of those services that you can subscribe to that monitor your child's phone, bark, custodial, things like that?
Yes. Good question. I don't feel entirely qualified to comment on the necessity of them because I think, again, that I can't tell you how to parent. I can't tell you whether or not those are worthy of your time, of your resources, of your kids. I think they are. I think kids view them on the extreme spectrum in terms of social media relationships. I think to stepping back for a second, I think the most important aspect in those situations and kind of those apps and that kind of landscape is the expectation of privacy. What is the expectation of privacy? With those apps, obviously, the expectation is no privacy. You can see everything at all times, that kind of stuff. And if that's what you think is best for your family, I think that's what's best for your family and to go for it. I know people who use it. I know it can be viewed as drastic, but in today's cultural landscape, I don't think that's bad. I don't think if it's something that you really want to focus on and call attention to, I'm not going to say, oh, that's an invasion of privacy, that kind of stuff. I think as a young person, you really shouldn't have an expectation of privacy with your parents. Our old, dial-up internet computer was in a public space, and it was in our kitchen when I was growing up. And now with smartphones, those big old, dial-up computers are now in their pockets. So when you think about those kind of apps, what does it take to keep your kids safe? And if the answer to that question is something that involves 24/7 kind of surveillance of their usage, who they're talking to, where they're spending time, I'm not going to say don't do that. I think the most important thing is there is a shared and mutual expectation of privacy, where if those apps are in play with your kids, they know about it, where they know what level of information, because the thing you don't want is they're having a conversation, they're looking at something, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I saw you doing this. That I think is where that kind of can be that divide, where maybe you've broken some trust and like they didn't know you could see that. Now, if it means they were doing something shady and now all of a sudden the jig is up, that's a bigger conversation. But I think the biggest thing is just having a shared sense of what is the level of expectation of privacy. Is it you only are allowed to have certain apps, and that's the ground floor, that's the understanding. You can only talk to certain people, use your phone at certain hours. Online gaming is a big one. You can only play with people those apps are valuable. If you discern that is what's best for your family, it's what's best for your family. But since my kids don't have phones and I've never used them, I'm not gonna try and tell you whether you should or shouldn't use them. But I think if you think it's what's right for your family, that you should use it.
There's one app called Covenant Eyes.
Yep.
That's a really good app. And it's made for, again, you can set different levels based on the different ages. There is where you can allow certain websites, disallow certain websites. It does go through a VPN setting, so it filters everything through Covenant Eyes. The other wonderful thing about Covenant Eyes for men, for women, but for men, like if you're suffering from certain things like pornography or things like that, you can actually put it on yourself, and you can have another brother or someone, a religious mentor, or deacon, or someone, and actually send them reports so they keep you accountable. So it's not just for youth, it can be for all ages, and it can be done for the family, but that's one that really works well there.
Hi, Lozano friends.
We did a thing I did a thing on social media with the Edgers a few months ago. And you can do it, I'm sure you probably know, but you can go on your phone. If you're on an iPhone, you can kind of swipe to the right, and it tells you your usage. And it tells you like what they've been doing and how long. And we would talk about how busy kids are these days, right? They're so busy. But you're like, well, God, you spent 12 hours on your phone today, but you couldn't pray for 5 minutes. So we kind of brought that into it to talk to our kids about, how much their time. And then I looked at mine.
Oh. Reality check real quick. You're like, you guys are on your phone too Oh, I was on Zillow for 3 hours last night looking at properties in my area.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I was gonna ask you, are there phones that are not smartphones anymore?
Excuse me. Yes. Great question. There are a lot of different ones. Our two youth ministers here actually have them. There are a growing number of these companies. I probably you can look it up. I think the ones they have, it's literally called dumb phones. It's this very like they look like Kindles basically, and they have very simple call, text, and like music playing capabilities. So it's almost like the 21st century version of my old flip phone, like the neck ear or whatever it's called, where yeah. Something like there's a million frog, something like frog. Son of a there's a lot. There's a lot. There are some out there, and that could be like again, if that's what's right for your family, where you want to give your kids a good balance, I think, of access to the digital world, but enough of a kind of perimeter fence that it's not like just free roam. Those phones could be good to look at. And a lot of big carriers are starting to pick those up and support those. So it's not like they're going to have like a weird, like 1-800 phone number. They can have the real phone number, but it's on a phone that kind of like, it kind of holds their hand a little bit. So that is a good thing for sure. One thing I would note, one last thing I kind of thinking about, the teens and just the general world view those apps as very intrusive. There was this very like scathing article about like Bethel Church, or like I can't remember what religious group it was, that like had come under fire for installing those apps on staff members' phones without telling people. And they were like, so the secular world is going to see those as like absolute invasions of privacy. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about it with your teens. The general world is going to view that, as most things Catholicism often are, as very weird, very extreme. But like I said, if that's what's best for your family, don't listen to them.
Right.
Yeah, because the truth of telling a child, I'm putting this on there just to make sure everything is okay. I never agree on putting something there just to, without telling anybody, because they need to understand. And again, it's always the one thing is that if you're doing something wrong that you don't want anybody else to see, that's on you.
Yeah.
But a question on these apps, Jay, again, another big thing is the geolocation.
Yep.
On all that, it's like everything, Instagram, TikTok, they all have that. Snapchat, I mean, exact locations. And when's the last time we've gone through our phones and looked at our location services to see everything?
Patient services.
Apps tracking you, or gone through your kid's phone and seeing
Even the
that.
pictures they take, like you have to go in and turn off all that stuff to know.
Yeah. Metadata. Metadata is basically like the information attached to a photo, where if you look at a photo, you see where it was taken, what time, that kind of stuff. And Instagram kind of often retains a lot of that data. So geolocation is definitely something to be aware of. Teens, one thing, I used to teach safe environment courses when I worked for Life Teen. So I used to teach about I used to train youth ministers, train people to be safe environment. And one thing we talked about with social media was how unaware teens can be with how much information they're providing without even realizing it. So like if they're at school, if they're after school activities, what the pictures that they show can often tell more than they think it is. So locations in terms of apps and interconnectivity in terms of the data in apps is definitely something to be aware of. It's not only are these apps tracking where my kids are going and what they're doing, because advertisers want that, because they want to know where you're going, what are you shopping, what are you looking for. But also think about on Instagram, okay, are the photos they're posting, is it clearly showing what their after school routine is? Is it telling someone, a potential predator, where they can find someone at a certain time, at a certain day, in a regular systematic time? It's kind of that scary third sense you kind of need to have, where it's like, okay, you see a picture, now what is it really communicating? But yes, that's a great question. Location is definitely something to be aware of. Location services, if you dig into your iPhone, you kind of see what apps can have constant in the background, is what's called background location tracking. Which ones are only able to use when you're using the app, like Pokemon Go. I love me some Pokemon Go, but it's a great app. Great app. Oh no, I think my camera just died. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did my camera freeze the most inopportune time? Yes.
Yes.
Amazing. Amazing.
Screenshot of that and send it to him.
Love it. Love it. Long story short, Pokemon Go uses constant location. It wants to know where you always are. So it's important to know what apps are using what kind of location data. So yes, that is a great question.
There are filters now. Did you see that one takes people and turns them into teenagers? Have you noticed that latest filter? And
Oh man.
my scariness is more and more predators are gonna be using that to talk to younger kids, and it's really scary.
Yeah, for sure. PJ, I see people starting to head out. So why don't we just wrap up in prayer real quick? And if anybody else still has questions, you can stay and pray. Or stay and ask me questions. Can we pray real quick?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Jesus, thank you for tonight. Thank you for this time. Please let our youth, our teens, our families, wherever they are, please let them be enriched in spirit and knowledge and strength, and whatever they need, and whatever grace that they need, whether they know it or not, God, please be with them. And also please be with us. Please let us have an awareness of the digital landscape our world is in. Please help us not be of this world, but know enough about it to navigate it carefully. We are running a heavenly race. We desire a heavenly reward. And so we must navigate our lives and our families' lives very carefully, very purposefully during our time here on earth. Please protect our families. Please protect our young people. Please help us raise up a generation of young, faithful Catholics. Mother Mary, we entrust our young people to you. Please wrap us in your mantle of protection, both in person and online, as we pray together. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.